Welcome to the Rockstar Principles Podcast, coming straight to you from Rock and Roll, USA, covering the latest and greatest in educational leadership trends, news, and awesomeness for principals all over the world. Now, here are your hosts, the boss, John Ross, and the Doctor of Proctors, Nick Indeglio.
Welcome back, rock stars, to the Rockstar Principal Podcast. Shouting out to all of our Rockstar Principal friends out there. John Ross here, joined as always by Dr. Nicholas Indeglio.
What?
We are here again from the underground lair at the Ross compound.
Do we still not have a name for our studio?
I'm going with the underground lair, the Ross lair, the Rockstar lair.
Okay, someone on Twitter, tweet
seriously, folks,
at
we're desperate.
RCKSTR Principal and give us a name for the studio.
Combined Rockstar recording studio. That's not hip enough. I don't know, something with a little more catch to it. But yeah, we're recording again. We're still here. Hopefully you've enjoyed our previous podcasts. Check them out if you haven't heard them yet. If this is your first time, welcome. We come to you a couple times a week. Talk about all things principal, all things education. And I want to clear something up right from the start here. We are not the only Rockstar. You know, our handle is Rockstar Principals. When we say Rockstar Principals, from my perspective at least, Nick, that is all inclusive. I look at all of our colleagues as rock stars, all in our own way. It's not at any stretch of imagination just the two of us as being the only Rockstar Principals. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, that's our gimmick, right? Like in the world of professional wrestling, the gimmick
there you go, brother.
You got a fan club. You know, like Shawn Michaels had the Clique.
Okay.
Or The Rock had the People.
Right. So, I hear you.
John Cena has the C Nation. So yeah, we're all rock stars.
Absolutely. And so that's the name of our podcast. And as I said, we'd like to come to you and talk to you about everything having to be a principal, everything about education, and occasionally we'll throw a few things in there that have absolutely nothing at all to do with education. As with our last podcast, once again, we are watching Ultraman. Hashtag Ultraman. It is spreading, ladies and gentlemen.
We could try with that one. I know you're trying to get that going,
come on,
but
dude.
I think it's going to work.
They were in. They were buying it.
You know, more importantly, just a few minutes ago, John and I took a break from the recording and went and picked up his daughter, who's a freshman in high school, from a party.
We're not going to talk about this, are we?
No, we're not going to talk about that part. What we're going to talk about is the song that was playing on the way home, the 80s hit, Jenny, 8675309. And as we were listening to that song, John brought up the fact that so much of that song is no longer technologically relevant. And this past week, we tried to participate in a ton of chats because, one, that's how you figure out what people on Twitter are talking about. It's how you connect with awesome colleagues. And it's also how you get followers.
I think it's a part of Twitter that a lot of people, at least speaking for myself, I didn't even realize for the first few months, almost a year, I would say, into being on Twitter myself. I didn't realize that there was a whole way to have these chats by following a hashtag. And there's a lot of great ones out there. Hashtag EdChat. Hashtag PT chat, I think. There's a lot of different ones out there. If you look, if you follow major players in education like Todd Whitaker, you will see that there's a lot of different chats. You'll see the hashtags at the end of different tweets that they put out there. So that's where we're picking up a lot of information and a lot of followers and a lot of people, frankly, that we're beginning to follow and discover a lot of the other rock stars that are out there.
So it's hard to keep up with the technological revolution, but with two things we picked up on that would no longer be relevant in Jenny.
Ultraman? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. We're still talking
hit us with the first one because I said, really, you wouldn't be calling 8675309. So what was your idea for that?
To make it more relevant in 2013?
Yeah.
To change the song to hashtag Jenny.
It's simple. I mean, that's how
although there's probably more than one Jenny out there. So it might make it, not as specific. Maybe he would have to come up with a nickname for her, maybe. Some kind of code that they would have back and forth to maybe follow one another. I don't know. I was grasping at straws, quite frankly, because...
Or maybe for Xbox Live tag or something like that.
Yeah, because, my 14-year-old daughter was completely not impressed with our knowledge of the 8675309 song. Well, what was the second part that you said wouldn't apply to 2013?
The second part, it definitely wouldn't apply to 2013. You would not be writing Jenny's phone number on the wall.
Oh, yes. Oh, a timely practice tradition going back in the day of writing phone numbers on the walls of a bathroom stall
Yeah,
you do not see that anymore.
Perhaps you would link to her Facebook page or
her Twitter handle. Find Jenny that could be Jenny's handle on Twitter at 8675309. There you go. Anybody named Jenny out there, feel free to use that. Make that your Twitter handle 8675309. I don't even know if that's doable.
If my old college roommate Rick Albright is listening, back in State College, the first 3-digit part of a phone number usually started with 867 up at Penn State. And Rick really enjoyed dialing 8675309 and asking for Jenny.
I don't think Rick was alone in that, Nick. I think there's quite a few people all across the country back in, what's that, about 1982, I would say, that song first came out.
The song, yeah. Of course, you were 1994, 95.
Oh, wow.
We started doing those types of prank calls. Luckily, Rick was a linebacker on the football team, so he was able to swing that. Yeah, he could pull it off.
Gotcha.
In case we ever got called on it.
All right, so let's get down to business. This week's highlight, well, it was my turn last week talking about No Office Day. This week we're going to talk about something that you just did with your staff, Nick, and what was that family fun night that you had going on?
Yeah, you got it. We got some pictures of it posted up from our Twitter account.
So tell me, what was the genesis of that idea?
Pretty simple. District-wide, we had a situation where a lot of new initiatives got thrown at us, and we just didn't have as much time at the beginning of the school year as we normally do. And one of the things that was tradition at Downingtown Middle School since long before I got there was an opening picnic that they'd hold. And so instead of staff having lunch on their own, everyone would bring a different food, and there'd be a picnic in the courtyard, grill hamburgers and do that kind of thing. Well, it was organized by the administrators and the office staff, and we were short personnel this summer. We had too much to get together, and bottom line was I just didn't have the time to put it together, so we canceled it. And the staff who were veterans at Downingtown Middle School, who'd been around a long time, were very upset by that. It got us to talking, the assistant principals and myself, and through the course of the conversation, we said, well, what can we do to, kind of simulate that same thing and make it work? And that's where it kind of came up at that point that it was the staff the veteran staff, who was into that. But a lot of the younger staff, weren't as involved. So we said, all right, well, do we alienate the younger staff sometimes? And we realized, we don't really alienate the younger staff because they get together, at the end of the week and do happy hours and things like that. So in the end, what we kind of said was, the younger staff or, our middle-aged staff with families, with young kids or, kids who are going through elementary or maybe middle school, they're not able to participate in a lot of things outside of the school day. So we said, why don't we do something for them? So we planned a Friday night where we would allow our staff to come back to school, bring their kids, and we rented a giant moon bounce. We played a movie on the big screen in the cafeteria, and we ordered a bunch of pizzas and some food, and just basically played for 2 hours. So that was it.
That's awesome. I'm totally green with envy with that idea. I wish I'd come up with that, and I will undoubtedly be stealing that idea. What kind of feedback did you get from the staff? Pretty positive, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. At first, we put out the invitation about a month ahead of time, via Microsoft Outlook calendar invite. And we got an initial hit of a few people, and then, word started to spread. But by this week, I would say it became the talk of the building among those who have children. Some teachers were coming up to us saying, "Hey, all my kid can talk about is the big party at mommy's school or at daddy's school." And then we added a clown into the mix. So in addition to the moon bounce, we rented a clown as well. So
no clown fears? Any other than your own children? I understand your daughter was a little afraid of the clown. That's always a risk you take putting a clown in the mix because there are. I'm sure there's a technical term for it other than clownophobia, but I know there's some kids that have fears, and some adults actually that have fears of clowns.
Yeah, we as it turned out, we had actually considered maybe doing a magician instead, because the magician would be less scary. But we couldn't find one who you could rent a moon bounce and a magician from the same place.
Oh, you got a package deal.
Yeah, so then we looked for a balloon blower, but then we said, latex allergies, can't really go with that. That's so in the end, it was a clown. That's what we did.
Outstanding idea, and something that as I said, I'm definitely going to try to put something together because I'm sure any staff would appreciate that opportunity to get their their friends and outside of school and their children together to kind of share and develop that collegial spirit. So I'm sure your staff appreciates it. And
we actually we interviewed. We brought the microphone and interviewed a few staff members during the event. So I'll link that to this podcast probably. But this morning on Facebook, about 15 or so of the teachers who were there posted some nice messages on Facebook. And what I think one of the prevailing themes was that a lot of times we hear the stories about the families and the children of our staff members, and you kind of paint a picture in your head, but you don't really know. And this was the first time that in large numbers we had husbands, wives, kids, grandparents. We even had staff members without children who came just to kind of hang out and meet other people's kids. So I think that was one of the biggest pluses to it.
That's great. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Downingtown Middle School Family Fun Night. A great idea, and I'm sure something that Nick would recommend to any principals out there looking for something to do to kind of bring your staff together. A great topic for a chat, maybe. Something to do with, morale and climate in your school. So doing things like that, they're well worth their weight in the time that you put into putting it together. So, great idea.
My last piece of advice is when you're renting your moon bounce, the weight limits they give you on those actually are accurate. Sadly, I didn't believe that 175 pounds was the weight limit on the moon bounce.
Did you break the moon bounce, Nick?
I didn't break it, but
please tell me there weren't any children in there when you got in there.
No,
did you at least have enough sense to get the kids out?
No, it was an hour before anyone arrived. After the movie.
So let me get this straight. No, hold on. Let me make sure I get the clear picture here. You couldn't even wait. You couldn't even wait to give the kids an opportunity to get in the moon bounce. You couldn't even wait until after all the kids had been through. You had to be the first one in. Did you knock any children over while you were running to get into the moon bounce? Or
no, I exhausted my desire for moon bouncing prior to any adults kids arriving.
So no one else would have to witness this. I see. So you were really, in a sense, thinking of them when you did that. So
I was considering the others.
That's very nice of you. And
servant leadership.
Didn't work out too well, huh?
No, sadly, as it turns out, the weight limit probably was about 175 pounds.
Yeah, it's too bad. You're at about $185 right now. You were probably just a little bit over that.
That's give or take 50 pounds, maybe? Yeah, right around there.
All right, what are we going to do here? We're going to go into a commercial?
Yeah, we're going to word from one of our fake sponsors right about now.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, these are not real. We are not endorsed by any outside sponsors. These are just shameless plugs that we give to some of our favorites from the world of education and Twitter and online, people that we follow and we appreciate, and hoping that maybe if we give them a shout-out, they'll return the favor at some point. So here's our first commercial break, and we'll be right back with the Rockstar Principals.
And now a word from our fake sponsors. But we'd really love if they were our real sponsors. Seriously, we would love it.
Hey John, I just saw a great TED Talk video by one of my favorite authors, Sean Achor. It was all about happiness, and it was less than 10 minutes long.
Funny you should mention that, Nick. I'd like to tell you some more about TED Talks. Did you realize that not only do they have an outstanding website with a lot of great professional development videos that you can share with your staff and even share with your kids, they're also on Twitter. You can find them on a bunch of different sites on Twitter, a bunch of different handles.
At TED Talks.
At TED_Talks. And then there's at TED Talks. There's at TED_ED, TED Ed. And there's at TED X, and that's the one I want to talk about, at TEDx. Last year...
Is that like FedEx?
No, slightly different. Last year we actually had a TEDx event in my school. We had a couple of parents who were certified TEDx presenters. TEDx is the student version of TED Talks, and they did a great assembly. We did an end-of-the-year assembly with our 7th graders to try to motivate them to be ready to be 8th graders the following year. So they brought in a couple of guest speakers. We had a couple of video presentations, a couple of songs. All in all, really an outstanding end-of-the-year or start-of-the-year program that I would use. It's just a way to get your kids focused and thinking about the road ahead, but not really deep, not really a whole lot of work on their part, but more just turning the mirror on themselves, a little introspection, and getting them thinking about the road ahead that they have in store for them. So it was an outstanding event. that Ted provided. I'm sure everyone's aware of the website, TED.com, and the great videos that they show again, but look into TEDx, and maybe if you do, tell them that the Rockstar Principal sent you. That'll help us get maybe a shout out on Twitter. What you think?
Do you know Ted?
Ted who?
Ted from TED Talks.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were changing the subject like a guy Ted you knew.
No, I just wonder, like, who is Ted?
Is there actually a Ted?
Does TED stand for something?
I think it does. We'll have to look into that, what TED stands for.
We're not very good commercial makers.
No, this part you're going to edit this out later, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
All right, I'm walking around here trying to find John. Man, I'm in the Church of Whitaker. It's looking around. He's coming out of the confessional. He must have had a weak moment, bad week. Maybe yelled at a kid or two, or didn't personally thank a teacher for their hard work. Something happened in there. John, what's going on?
Nick, how are you? I'm so glad to see you here. What brings you to the Church of Whitaker today, my friend?
Well, I just thought it'd be a good time to talk about what great principals do differently.
It's time for another segment?
Yeah, the second commandment.
The second of our installments. Well, let's not call them commandments, Nicholas. Why don't we just refer to them as our Whitakerian brother Todd refers them to, the 18 things that matter most. Yes, my friends, you are here once again for the Church of Whitaker. What great principles do differently. 18 things that matter most. Number 2 on our list of Whitakerian principles to follow. Number 2, as a leader, have clarity about who you are, what you do, and how others perceive you. As a famous saying once said, unless you know where you're sailing to, you never know what's going to happen in the journey along the way. I just made that up off the top of my head, actually. But no, you need a vision for what you're heading toward. You need an idea of who you are as a leader and what direction you would like to head toward. What kind of captain are you? What kind of leader are you? How do others see you as a leader? Being cognitive of the idea that you are someone leading people. You are leading other human beings, and it's very important to have acknowledge the perception that they have of you as a leader as well. Would you like to comment on this one at all, Nick?
I'm still marveling over the quote you just gave a few moments ago.
That was right off the top of my head, I have to be honest with you. I wish I had written that down.
Really, I guess what it comes down to a large degree is what are you all about?
Exactly.
And I think in a lot of ways we can sum it up in a sentence or two. It's what's best for kids. I think that's hopefully what all principals are about. What's best for our teachers, our staff. What's going to get us the most bang for our buck. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And if you don't have that roadmap, like you were saying, you're really going to struggle. I like to say no plan B, it distracts from plan A. And the intent of that is that your passion and your drive is so clearly focused on what your plan is that, there's no need to deviate. You have to be flexible. Sometimes the road takes a turn, but what are you all about? Some of that comes down to being able to be reflective. You got to be able to really know, take the time to learn and really think about what motivates you. With our kids, we do functional behavioral assessments. What's the reward? What are you getting out of this particular behavior? And if we don't ask those questions of ourselves and our motivations, then we'll never know.
Exactly. If you have no idea who you are as an educator, if you don't have some guiding principles, especially when you're in a position of leadership, I don't know how you can expect your people to have any of their own or to have an idea of what direction you're heading if they don't know where you as a leader are heading. So there you have it. Number 2 in the 18 things that matter most, our shameless attempt at getting the attention of Mr. Todd Whitaker. We're going to bring to a close this week's lesson in the Church of Whitaker. All my Whitakerian friends out there, we will see you once again soon. And we will be right back after this brief commercial message.
Who did the confessional on there when we were confessing?
That was one of the other Whitakerian leaders. We share responsibilities with each other. We'll meet him later. It was Brother Rob. All right, we're going to get it serious for this commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of great podcasts out there in the field of education. I know we get a little goofy at times and just kind of riffing and talking off the top of our head as we find our way around, but there's some that are head and shoulders above us in the world of education that would really be helpful to you. And I want to try to encourage you, if you haven't already, to take a look around at some of the people out there that are just doing outstanding work with podcasts. I'm rambling on here, Nick. I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody right now in the moment. Can you give everybody somebody maybe that they may want to take a look at to give them some leadership, educational ideas maybe out there?
By far, the best educational podcast out there is the Steve Austin podcast.
The Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast?
Yes. Everything education-based in the world of professional wrestling you could possibly need to know.
I'm having a hard time. Can you explain exactly what Stone Cold Steve Austin does in his podcast, maybe?
Stone Cold Steve Austin is for the working man, by the working man. He talks to former friends in professional wrestling. He gives tips to those just starting off in the business. He tells road stories. It's hilarious. He brings on guests from all over the entertainment world, talks about his life, talks about all the issues that are pertinent to the working man.
Nick, are you just trying to get on Steve Austin's podcast?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well then, there you go. That's a great one then. That'll help publicize us and
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Fulfill Nick's dream, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all get a hold of Steve Austin on Twitter there and tell him he needs to have Dr. Nicholas Indeglio from the Rockstar Principles on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. Let's make that happen.
Even better. Why don't we get Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Rockstar Principles podcast?
I think your head would explode if we did that.
It would.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really be relevant to the world of K-12 education at all, but gosh darn it,
We'd find a way. We would absolutely be able to find a way.
I think Steve Austin could talk education.
Have we said your name enough, Stone Cold Steve Austin? Come on. Get us on there. Come on our podcast.
For the working man. By the working man. We'll even do it in Espanol!
You got it.
Welcome back to the Rockstar Principles podcast. Well, I don't know what the heck I just said.
Leave that in. Do not edit that out. It is the Rockstar Principles podcast. That is the one highlight of this episode for me, because we've been spending a lot of time talking about Nick and the things Nick's been doing, and I just had to get a little bit of a shot in there because I'm incredibly jealous that Nick actually knocked something off of my bucket list this week, something that I would like to do. And it has, once again, nothing at all to do with education, although somewhat of a leadership perspective, and there's a connection to your school. But Nick, why don't you tell everybody what you did earlier today?
Today, I performed my first official wedding ceremony in the state of Pennsylvania.
You see, and here I thought, similar to like a captain on a ship, Captain Steubing on the Love Boat used to get to perform weddings. I got excited when I heard you were doing that. I thought maybe as principals, somehow we got to perform nuptials as part of our duties, but no, that's not the case. How did this happen?
Yeah, well, in some states, you actually, if you're a state employee, it does give you the right to do it. That's not so in Pennsylvania.
Darn it.
During my days at Penn State, I was a cheerleader there and the Nittany Lion mascot.
You were what?
A cheerleader at Penn State.
And what was the second part?
The Nittany Lion mascot.
Yeah, we have to talk more about that later on as well.
Well, especially as we get closer to going to State College for the PAESSP conference.
That's right. But go ahead. So
who's going to be at that conference?
A moment of silence, please, for Todd Whitaker. Go ahead.
Is it a moment for silence for when people die?
No. That was a moment of silence, of reverence.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
Anyway, we're sitting in Megan Busby, one of our guidance counselors' office, and one of my favorite teachers at Downingtown Middle School, Jeff Smith, popped in and let us know that his wedding went from being spring of 2014 to 3 weeks from then. His grandparents and his fiancée Megan's grandparents were coming in from out of state, and they decided to just get the wedding done. So a front yard wedding, end of September, and I jokingly told him that I was, in fact, an ordained minister, which is the truth, and that I could marry them if they wanted to, but they already had somebody.
So in addition to being a principal, a doctor now, you're a reverend doctor, and a rock star reverend doctor, Nicholas Indeglio. We have to come up with there needs to be just one word that encapsulates all of those things that you are.
It's hard to tie that into a bow.
But how'd it go? Everything went well with the wedding?
Oh my God, it was fantastic. I realized a couple things. One of the things I realized was everyone has crazy families. At least on a wedding day they do. And
Sure.
It's so much more entertaining when you're at someone else's wedding and watching the interactions that take place with their families. It was just a great evening watching the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and just watching one of my favorite people in the world, one of our best teachers. He was a special education teacher. He's now one of our digital information technology teachers. His wife's a nurse. They're both into it's just like a servant leadership family. The best part, though, at the entire wedding, there were about 18 total teachers there, all members of the family on both sides of the family.
And I'm sure you got them all to follow us on Twitter, Rockstar Principals,
I
at
plugged
RCKSTR Principals on Twitter.
I plugged us
That's
as hard as we possibly could. But the funny story about that, and I wanted to wrap up with the wedding part here, is how cool from a community standpoint. You know, it was just so neat to get to be a part of one of my employees' weddings who, it just couldn't have worked out better.
That's great. Like I said, in all seriousness, I'm jealous, and I think that's awesome that you did that.
But one of our students in our autistic support class made a card for the happy couple, and Jeff actually shared it at the rehearsal dinner on Thursday night. And the front of the card, green card, very, very well drawn, it said, "Congratulations, Mr. Smith." And Jeff opened it up, and on the inside it said, "I hope your wife isn't a zombie."
How can you top that? There you go. Rock stars, thanks for joining us again. We will be coming at you very, very soon. Please subscribe to our podcast. Please follow us on Twitter. Please check us out on Facebook, on our website. Just search Rockstar Principals, and we'll turn up. John Ross, Nick and Deglio coming to you again, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.
I now pronounce you Rockstar Principals.
Thanks for helping RSP top the charts in the Edu podcast world. Keep it real with Twisted Steel and School of Peace.